That's fine. These are majlis of Nasiya and Dhikr, and first we begin with the Nasiya. And really, what should our intention be? Now, we made this effort to come to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and often we think that is it. But now that we're here, as we know, even in Salah, the shaitan diverts our mind straight away. So that you've even turned up for Salah, because the shaitan is trying to rob your reward. So for that Salah, you might only get 20%, 30%, 40% of the reward, as he said. And the same applies with any majlis again, that we get here, where our mind starts wondering, what am I doing tomorrow? What time am I going to be home today? What are the Champions League scores tonight? Etc. All these things start coming out, because it's all tricks of the shaitan. We sometimes probably mistake shaitan for being simple, but he's very clever, as he said, in that matter. So he wants to rob you of your reward. So now that you're here, really correct your intention. Why you're here, really for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There can't be any other motive, as he said, in that regard. You could have, as he said, sat at home tonight, watch the Champions League, go out, do anything else. But Allah has blessed you with this opportunity to take advantage. And how do we remember that the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins? Really, remember the three keys. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with me, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can see me, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can hear me. So really, if we really mind that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching us, He can hear our thoughts. So if the beyond is going on and I'm thinking about what I'm doing tomorrow, what I'm going to eat after the majlis, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that. It's not unknown to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So really, again, attention just in terms of general etiquette of not only this majlis but any majlis. Really, we should make eye contact with the speaker so they know that you are listening and you are attentive. Sometimes you see people either with their eyes closed, head down. That's not really the correct adab. Other time people see they're listening to the bayan, but they're doing a clicker or doing tasbih. You can't do two things at once. Not only you're not listening to the bayan properly, but you're not even doing the dhikr properly when you do the tasbih. Again, it's not a numbers game, click, 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 click. It's about the quality of it. So again, really, these are just the general any majlis, and inshallah, attending that, you get the word. I make a lot of that myself, and I feel and learns and implements a correct understanding of what is to be said tonight. And without further ado, I shall hand over to Ustādh Abid. Jazakallah.
Alhamdulillah wa kafa wa salamun ala ibadihi alladhina istafa khususan ala sayyidi rusuli wa atamil atqiya wa ala alihi al-asfiya wa ala alihi al-anbiya amma ba'd. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu tasliman kathira. Allahumma ya rabbi bi jahi sayyidina Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam ما بيني وبين سيدنا محمد ابن عبد الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في دنيا قبل الآخرة. Alhamdulillah, it is with the immense fadl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He has allowed us to gather here in this masjid to primarily talk about things that will generally draw a person closer to Him. Let me repeat this statement again. That this is a gathering in which we primarily speak about the things in this life which will primarily draw a person closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And everything that is associated with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, i.e. the Prophet alayhi salatu salam, the Sahaba, Tabi'in, Taba Tabi'in, the pious and the righteous people. As you may or may not attend many majalis, whereby you will receive a lot of stories. They will tell you the story about different companions, different sahabiyat and their life and what they did in their life that constituted their love, which showcased their love for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which showcased their desire to be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But have we ever thought for a moment to ask ourselves the question, if that Sahaba or this one person had that level of love, how can we get this love? How can me and you get this love? Is it a matter of we hear the stories and it should have a direct effect on our heart? My brothers, this is not the answer. If for whatever reason we believe that we are guaranteed Allah's love or guaranteed the love of the Prophet ﷺ, then you and myself and yourself, we're more deluded than we actually think. We are more deluded than we think. Because one thing is that we regularly forget, and we forget to remind ourselves, is that why does Allah need us? Why does Allah need me? Why does Allah need my ibadat, my zikr, my salah, my qiraat, my zakat? Why does Allah need this? Can anyone answer this question? Does anyone have an answer? Go on, brother. But does Allah need it? That's the answer I'm looking for. Allah does not need your qiraat, your zakat, your salat, your whatever you want to do. Allah has created malaika that are the masters of all of this. The masters of all of this. Not only this, think of this is us as human beings. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created human beings. What did Shaitan do before he became the Iblis, the cursed one? What was he doing? Do you think he was playing games? Do you think he was just waywardly going about? He was the master of ibadat. Such was his titles. Allah had given him such titles of Abid, of a dear worshipful servant. But where was Shaitan tested? Where was Shaitan tested? Shaitan was tested in the premise that his interaction and dealing with another person. And what was Shaitan's difficulty? What do you think his hardship was? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him to prostrate to Adam alayhi salam, what do you think his difficulty was? Any answers?
Is it he thought he was more superior than Adam?
Yes, superiority is one answer, but it's not the primary answer.
Is it because he was like the master of Ibadat and the other Islam was just prophet?
No. He didn't know Adam whether Islam was a prophet. Anyone else got any answers? Brother, you seem to maybe know. What do you know the answer? Achha. So one of the reasons is the fact that he had a quality inside him. He had a bad trait, the trait of arrogance. And he said, Ana khair, I am better. I am better, why should I prostrate? I am better, why should I prostrate? So from this we can draw many a lesson. These lessons can go on and on and on. But one of the primary lessons for the likes of yourself and myself should be is that he was very able to keep hold of his negativity, his bad trait. But when it comes to submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he had a very much hardship of grasping this. You see, it's because inside of us, first and foremost, is the difficulty of we don't even know who we are. I always love doing this when I see people, sometimes, right, brother, you tell me who you are. Does anyone have any answers? I should just go one by one across the room. Brothers, tell me who you are. I'd love to know who you are. Brother, do you want to have a go? You tell me who you are. It's not a trick question. It's not a trick question. You can answer, say whatever you want. You can even say your name. You pass? Gotcha. Go on. Do you want to have a go? You don't need to copy of him. Is he a role model? Gotcha. Anyone want to have a go? Who they are? Anyone who's sensible, maybe they can give us a go. Brother, you've been answering me. Who are you?
Aaron.
It's okay, Yaron. Okay. Anyone else got any other options? This is the one thing I learned. Imagine how, let's just put it into context. We want to be Hafiz of the Quran. We want to be 5-time Panj Waqt Namazi in the masjid. We want to be a person who is, righteous and pious person, a good person. The very first thing is, we don't even know who we are. I don't know, maybe I'm Abid, maybe I am son of such and such a person, maybe I'm human being, maybe I am my brain, maybe I'm my intellect. So then someone give me an answer, and not those people who know. I want someone who doesn't know. Isa, do you want to have a go? Who would you say you are? A Muslim. Acha. Good answer, but not quite the answer. It has to. Now, let me backtrack this question a little bit. Let me take you more back. Before you were Muslim, before you were, what was your name again? Not the person who give me your name. Okay, Saram. Before you were Saram, before you were human, before you were your intellect, before you were hifz of Quran, before even you were in your mother's womb, who were you then? Think about it. You were something. You didn't come from nothing. We don't believe in this concept. MashaAllah, it's very close to the answer. You have to go right back to the very primary source of our creation. Because in our belief, Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we believe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the beginning. Allah has no, for us, Allah was the beginning. Allah has no start and no end. But for us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created our beginning. So we now need to come to some type of definitive answer here. Is that if we are the soul, how did we come about being the soul? Why would Allah create me and you? Why would Allah create me and you? Okay, He wants to test us. That's one right answer. There's the main answer, but there's loads of answers that constitute it. Go on, another guess. Okay, that's one answer. That's in the Quran as well. MashaAllah.
Is it because we ask for free will?
MashaAllah. These are all good answers. Anyone else wants to have a guess? Any guess? There's no real right, wrong answer. They're all right in their own way. It's just getting us to the answer. Any more guesses? Why would Allah create me and you? Another guess? Yes, but obviously it's like almost saying Allah doesn't have reason. Allah said about Himself, I was a lost treasure and I wanted to be known. I know you hear this term, the Arif. An Arif is a person who knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A person who knows. And He said, I created creation out of love for myself. Allah created love, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created creation out of love for His own self. Because if Allah had, like for example, we sometimes love ourselves, we look and see we have good quality. We never want to talk about our bad quality, but all the time want to focus on our good. We're good at this, we're good at this, we're good at this, we're good at this. But when somebody says, oh brother, you're bad at something, all of a sudden become very defensive. Oh, why are you telling me? Who are you to tell me? Maybe the person has genuine reason to actually address you and their concerns about you. And we should be open to this. Because how do we then improve our state? How do we be better as people? If it's all the time, who here goes to the doctor and say, Dr. G, I am well, mashallah. Do you go to doctor and say, Dr. G, I am well? Because I definitely don't go to doctor and say, Doctor, I am well. You go, doctor, mera pair dard ho hai, I've got heart pain, I've got back pain, I've got shoulder pain. Doctor say, no problem, here you go, take this dose of medication, take this. And we never think for a moment, doctor, we are actually well. Nobody does this. Even the most illiterate, most insane person doesn't do this. So what's to say about our actual state when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees our actual state? And we're too fearful to admit this. And this is a part of actually improving. First and foremost, knowing who you are. And ultimately, we are the spirits. We are the spirit. A spirit in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created out of His divine love and assembled us in the alam arwah. You may have heard of this. In the world of spirits. In the world of spirits, we were a covenant. But before this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala offered this covenant to all different creation, to the trees, to the heavens, to the skies, to the hellfire, to malaika, to everything. And it is said that the heavens cried for 7 days and 7 nights out of the fear of this covenant. What is this covenant? Does anyone know? What did Allah offer to creation? What do all of us have in common? Human being and jinnat, what do we have in common? No, we have soul. Even the animals have souls as well. Now we're beyond this stage now. But what, go on, Isa? Free will. We have one thing, the choice. We have a choice to do good or to do bad. It is like, for example, so you could walk outside and between the masjid exit, there could be, I don't know, somebody's shoes there. Now you have a choice. Do you move the shoes or do you walk over the shoes? Ajkal, a blind person may come fall over the shoes. But your choice was there to walk over. And sometimes we think in our minds is that, brother, we have free will, but sometimes we don't actually make the right decision. But why is this? Why do you not make the right decision? Primarily, one of the reasons being is you're not taught to how to make the right decision. No, you don't know what the right decision is. This is where a person will be mentored, will be guided by the mashayikh in order to establish himself with the Creator, to work with this free will, to work with the body, with the mind, with the heart and the soul, to achieve Allah's closeness and pleasure. And sometimes it's a very simple concept, but we have to go all the way back to the beginning of where we were, who we are, what were we here for. Because remember, Allah doesn't need us, because we've already established this point. Allah doesn't need our zakat, our salah. You never think, brother, I am becoming hafiz for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because Allah needs it. I am going to the masjid because Allah needs my worship. Allah has billions and billions and trillions of angels doing His worship day in and day out. Flawless worship. Our worship is flawed worship. But Allah loves this worship far greater than the worship of the malaika. Because we weren't created for worship. We weren't created for this. It is our choice to worship. It is our choice to love. It is our choice to follow. It is our choice to wear sunnah. It is all done on a voluntary basis. The Sahaba did it all on a voluntary basis. The companion, the Tabi'in, Taba Tabi'in, all did it on a voluntary basis. And awliya Allah, real awliya Allah, the high caliber awliya Allah, even a normal awliya Allah, still do this voluntary to today. And sometimes we become very clouded by this term, awliya Allah, the friend of Allah. Even if I was to ask you, who is a friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What is this person? How do you define this person? Is it that person who sits there, people, hath chumkar, they go around kissing hands, collecting money? This is not awliya Allah. This is not awliya Allah. Because the awliya Allah, they are firm upon one thing, the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. They do not waver from this. They do not change from this. They are firm upon the Quran and the Sunnah. I know you hear this cliche saying Quran, Sunnah. What does this mean? Yes, obviously when a person goes more into detail and understanding, but the basic is to understand one's fiqh, i.e. the Hanafi madahib, and also whatever madhab you follow in terms of fiqh. And then you have also your aqaid, which is the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, which is the Jamaat of the Prophet ﷺ, the congregation of the Prophet ﷺ. These two areas primarily shouldn't be flawed, because if there's flaw in these areas, then there's area for deficiency, there's area for failure. You perfect these two areas, there's less maneuverability for failure. Because I'll tell you, I'll explain to you how this applies. Now, I'll give you two examples, two primary examples. One example is that person in the time of one of the great Sahaba. There was a person who lived on the outskirts of a city. He lives on the outskirts of a city, of a town. And it was mentioned to him that, you should be not just sitting at home doing ibadat, doing zikr, doing your salah, and actually going out and helping people. Now, those people who know Quran, they will know there's a hadith regarding this, that the best of you who learn and teach the Quran. And learning and teaching is not just by way of speech. How many, I can tell you, I know hafizes, I know people who are mufassir, who know the Quran inside, outside, and do drugs. And they'll go to clubs at night. But why is this? They are hafiz of the Quran. They know the Quran is in their heart. But why is it they go to the clubs? Why is it they do drugs? What is the issue? Isa, what would you say to this person who he learned the Quran? What a great amal, what a great act. But for some reason, he still goes clubbing on a weekend. He still goes drinks, he still does drugs. Why do you think this is? These are people, I'm talking about actual scholars of the Quran, not people who only know its Arabic wording. I'm talking about scholars of the Quran, people who are scholarly level. I know people. We're not here to name and shame, but I know people of this caliber who do these type of things. Why? Brother, you hafiz of the Quran. There'll be some people, they'll pray 5-time prayer. They'll go drinking and smoking and clubbing and everything. Why is this? Have you ever wondered in your mind and contemplated for a moment that these, like a person who goes Hajj, this is a primary example actually, a person who goes Hajj, you see those Haji Sahab, he goes 1 month, maybe he'll change, and then second month, he gets the famous term Daji Haji, because this is what happens. Because you see the effect on him is now loosened. You think, bro, no, the effect of it's worn off. Okay, we talked about the salah, the zakat, the Quran, the shahada, and all of these elements. How does Allah describe these? As pillars. As pillars. Does anyone here live in a pillar? Who lives in a pillar? That's a pillar. Would you say this is my house? It is something that holds the house. It is something that is built upon the pillar. So now if you make your focus the pillar, my brother, you are doomed for failure. You are doomed for failure. These are things that are needed in order to support yourself as you draw nearer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as you draw nearer to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is not an aspect of, brother, this is my pillar, mashallah. Okay, good and well, you have one pillar, you have two pillars, but now you need to create and build up this foundation. Then, after the world of spirits, a person, after when we were offered the freedom of will, Allah said, now I am going to test you. Now this is where this brother, what he said was, I'm going to test you. Allah said, I'm going to test you. And now we've come onto this earth. This very short, short period of time. In the grand scheme of things, the average age, 65, 70 years is very less. Your lifespan will pass very quickly. And also, you will be forgotten very quickly. Who here can deeply, genuinely say, I know the list of my forefathers. I know my dad, my granddad, my great-granddad, his father, and so on and so forth. Not many people. Maybe you go 1, 2 generations, 3 generations back at most. And if, alhamdulillah, your parents were blessed and taught you about these people, then alhamdulillah. But most cases, people don't know. And you got to think, they lived a life 60, 70 years, or we remember them. Why would somebody remember you? Why would somebody remember us? And you'd look at the life of the awliya Allah, like Sayyidina Abdul Qadir Jilani, or Sayyidina Imam Abu Hanifa, or Sayyidina Imam Hassan al-Basri, rahmatullahi alayhi, and all the likes of these people. People will talk about, this is 1,000 years after their life, some of them, and I'm mentioning their names today. Why? Even the dunyavi people don't get this type of mention. Even they don't get spoken about. You know, you look at the great scientists, you know, nowadays a lot of Einstein's theories are getting debunked. And at his time, they thought he was one of the greatest pioneers of science at his time. But now his theory will be replaced. And his theory, why? Because he is based upon a theory. But all these people are based on one thing, the friendship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is something we should collectively strive for. And how you can do this, again, like I mentioned at the very beginning, you do not come to this majlis and we can't provide you with a solution. We can't provide you with an answer. Each one of your problems can be answered for. There is not a single issue the Mashayikh have taught us not to deal with, meaning not myself, but there are brothers who know this and can teach you and guide you. But you have to be prepared to take the step. You have to be prepared to say, now is the time for change. Now is the time for me to make a sacrifice. And this is where ultimately a person should ask the question about where I am, where I was, and where I am today. So inshallah, just for a couple of minutes, if anyone does have any questions about the subject at hand, inshallah, they can ask. Like I said, look, we sometimes fall into this delusion. Brother, I'm shy, I don't know what to ask. Then alhamdulillah, you can sit privately. You can sit one-to-one. You can talk about issues maybe we have the solution for. You know, look at your nights. Brother, are you telling me you're sitting, you know, a lot of people do this. They'll go and at home on the phones, they'll be looking at women on Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat. Is this not an issue? Is this not an issue? Ultimately, you're bound by these desires. You have an issue. You have a problem. You need to rectify it now before it is made worse. Or you're sitting on Facebook trying to talk to women, looking at obscene videos and pictures and stuff like this. When will be the time to say, brother, I need to let go of it? Everything I have tried within my own power has not helped. Now I need to do something that further assists me. So inshallah, if anyone does have any questions in regards to what I've asked, inshallah you can. If I do not have the answer, inshallah I will get for you. So does anyone have anything they want to ask? Just raise your hands, inshallah. Inshallah,
just further to what Ustādh said, really, shaitan